Well, welcome everybody. My name is Brian with ShowFlow. We're very excited today to be walking through session 2 of the Rundown Bootcamp, Beyond the Rundown. Today we're going to jump into the whole process of collaborating with a team inside of ShowFlow. Going through the process of inviting people in, how your different crew members can get the right permission level, set up their environment, and work with your team within the software. And then we're going to talk about the guest pass option, which is a great way to share documents built in ShowFlow to people that you're not even inviting into the software. And then finally, we'll jump into our exporting process for those people that just want a paper copy. So I am joined today by one of our product specialists, John Alexander. He's our resident expert demo giver. So he's going to be walking us through the software today. We're going to be taking questions throughout the day or throughout this session, so please feel free to send those in, and we'll be jumping into those. But Johnny, welcome, man. Let's jump into it.
Yeah, that sounds great. Excited to be back. Let's dive right in. I am right now on my team dashboard. Now, what I'm going to be walking through today is basically sharing the 3 different ways to share content, as Brian had mentioned on the front end. We're going to be talking about inviting in people as crew. We're going to be talking through guest pass, and then we're also going to wrap it up by talking a little bit about just PDF export. And so those are the 3 different ways. The different deciding on which way you're going to go for different people and crew is obviously going to depend on your specific event and your event needs. But what I'm going to kind of do is walk through the features and functionality of each of those, maybe sharing some examples of what we've seen our customers kind of use. But definitely, if you have any questions as I'm running through this, feel free to shoot them in chat, and we'll address those through the process as well. So right here, I'm on the team dashboard. I'm on a team account called ShowFlow Live, and there's 2 types of main users in ShowFlow. There's team admins, and then there's event crew. Now, it's important to understand what a team admin does separate from event crew, because team admins are people on the team level. So team admins have the ability to create events. They also have the ability to invite in crew, and then also be able to view and pull up any previous event information. So past events that are already kind of done and over with. Now, as you're going to continue to create events throughout your account, your event crew are going to be specific users that only have access to your specific event. So what that means is this software is designed to allow you to, scale, and as you're working with different people, event to event, you don't have to worry about other crew members, other users, other freelancers, clients having access to all of your event information. So that's kind of the biggest difference between team admins and kind of event crew. So we're going to jump right in. I'm in the Rundown Bootcamp event. And I'm going to jump over, and we're going to start by just walking through how to invite a crew, how to invite a user in, and then adjusting kind of permission levels. So if I click on the crew tab inside of my event, you'll notice we have an invite crew button. When I select that, it's going to pop up a quick little moto right here, where it's going to allow me to, essentially all I'm doing here is inputting an email. Or multiple emails. So I'll just do a demo account called john@smith.com. Super simple. And then when I'm ready to click send, I just click enter, which is going to kind of queue it up. And from there, I have the ability to adjust their permission level. We're going to talk through the different permission levels when I jump into the rundown and what each one can kind of do. But once you assign their permission level, you simply just click send, and that's going to send them an email from ShowFlow, allowing them to, and it's going to have instructions on the email. It's going to explain, click this button, which is going to take them to our sign up page. And all they need to do is just create a password, log in, and they're good to go. So super simple and easy to, invite in the different crew members. So what we're going to kind of do now is jump in to an example rundown, which I've got rundown example right here already created. We talked about on the previous demo on kind of creating rundowns and all of that. But so right here, we are on a rundown called rundown example. And we're going to first talk about the read-only permission. So obviously read-only is pretty self-explanatory, but there's also some really great features that read-only users get and can, have the ability to do. The first thing of that is private notes. So private notes is a utility column that each read-only user has the ability to input notes that are aligned with a specific element. So an example of that would be, I have a private note right here in the welcome and applause called new note. That is a note that I inputted, and I can input another one down here, something here. And all of these notes are tied to those specific elements. And if a separate producer user or a show caller or somebody else moves an element around, my private note, my personal note, is going to move with it. So this eliminates, that workflow where, your crew or users are, transferring personal notes across different, versions of printed rundowns. And this is a utility column, which also means that if this user is not using it, they can also very quickly hit the down arrow and hide that column as well. In addition to private notes, another really helpful feature that read-only users can do is creating custom column order and layouts. So the ability, the different department columns are located to the right of private notes. So you're going to see video, production notes, audio, lights, images. These are all columns that we've defined and built out. Now, let's say I am a lighting designer, so I don't need to see or care about any of the other columns besides maybe lighting and images. So what I can do is I can actually go to the audio column, hit the down arrow, and click hide column. That's going to hide that column from my view. I can hit another one, click hide, or I can use one of our keyboard shortcuts, Command E, which is going to allow me to just very quickly clean up a couple more columns. And now I have a personalized view based on my specific role and my need. So this is something that's available for all ShowFlow users and crew when you're building and working on and collaborating on these rundowns. Now, rundowns are going to look and feel very different depending on the type of event. Some large, some small. Events are getting more complex, more technical, which means more columns, and that can just cause overwhelming amount of data, maybe causing crew members to miss a cue or something. So this just really personalizes it to where it's putting the most important information right in front of them. And then moving on kind of out of the read-only permission into a next level called a contributor. Now, a contributor can do everything we just talked about for being able to create private notes, custom column order, and all of that. However, a contributor can also contribute to the department columns. So what that means is these columns that we just talked about, video, production notes, audio, lights, images, basically any columns that are going to be to the right of the duration column or our clock section, they can actually edit and make changes. So I actually have a separate user over here who's been invited into this. This is Johnny Hollywood. He has the permission level of contributor. And as you can see, he's also in the light theme, which is why this looks a little different. He can come in and double click on a cell and make an edit to anything over on the right side of the durations. However, he cannot come in and double click on, the item name or adjust any of the timing section or rearrange anything or create any new elements. So it's a limited level of permission for somebody to maybe help you build out specific department columns, maybe after someone's already created the overall agenda, presenter order, and things like that. So really helpful permission level for, just limited levels of editing and access. Kind of moving on from, a little bit of the department columns and the contributor functionality. Let's talk a little bit about before we get to admins and show callers, let's talk a little bit about other ways to, use collaboration, track edits, and those types of things. So one is we have a activity feed icon in the top right-hand corner, which is this little yellow lightning bolt. And when I select on that, it's going to bring up my entire cell edit history. So this is all of the, edits that I've made in this specific show. It's who made edits, where they made it, what time they made the edit, and all of that. So it adds levels of kind of transparency and, just making sure that if there's a change that happened, you don't know who made the edit, you can always go back to the activity feed and pull it up. We also take that one level deeper in our cell edit history menu. So I can actually come in just to show you real quick. and I'll do, new note, and I'll come back and change this to something else. I'll literally change it to something else. And you'll notice right here, when I highlight on a cell or click a cell, I'm going to see this icon in the top right. This pulls up our cell edit history menu, which, as you'll see, looks similar to the activity feed. However, this is specific edit history of item 0 video column. And you can see we had new note that was made, and then something else was made after that. This is great for version controlling if you're using ShowFlow for prompter and scripts or presenter notes, or even just, drilling in if there's a lot of changes to certain aspects of it, being able to go back and say, oh yeah, I want to go back to the original version of this cell. I can simply hit the restore content, and that'll bring it right back. So cell edit history, really helpful approach there. And then moving forward to a couple more things. One is actually a newer feature from us throughout the last year is our crew chat. So this little blue chat bubble in the bottom right-hand corner is our chat. So what this allows you to do is pulls up, we have a variety of different channels that are, specific to different types, of maybe conversations that are going on the event, things like lighting, production, video, audio. And these are going to be group chats for all of their crew members who are a user, can communicate in those. You can send things like links, files, images. You can also directly message certain crew members, and converse that way. You can see with the indicators of green that this person is actually online and inside of ShowFlow at the same time. So different ways to just kind of communicate. So crew chat is pretty obvious there. Great use case across, virtual events, and then even on site. Maybe you don't want to crowd comm for simple things, leading up or during an event. Cool. And then a couple other things I'll mention as well. One is, I think, a really important aspect of sharing and bringing in media and files and all of that. There's a lot of tools out there, cloud-based, file storaging and stuff like that. So you do have the ability to upload files directly into ShowFlow, and you can link to those files by going up to our this little link icon. And when you select a cell, you can hit that little chain link and insert file from docs and select a specific file, or you can create a hyperlink. So if you have maybe a third-party, file storage solution or something, you can actually go into a specific cell, highlight a word, hit the hyperlink button, and then send a direct link to maybe you're going to a Dropbox file or something. You can type in the URL, the endpoint, click add, and then now that hyperlink is there for your crew to access. So a hyperlink is just a great way to link to different files, whether it's files uploaded in ShowFlow or files located externally. Awesome. Kind of moving forward to a couple more things is, I think, worth mentioning. We talked about custom column orders, personalized views. There are also other views that we have available that I'll briefly mention. We're going to spend a little bit more time on these views next week. Things like, featured view and display view and what this all looks like maybe on your event and as you're getting set up. But I'll just briefly show like our featured view, for example. This is just a way to redisplay your rundown data to fit maybe the role of a specific person or need. So what this does is this actually splits the rundown into two separate tables where we have our agenda order, our rundown on the left with our, timing components and everything. And then on the right-hand side, I have the ability to select one column of notes or one department column that I've already, previously created. So as you can see, I put my something else note in there, which was in the welcome and applause. So the way that you're kind of going to navigate through this is as you select rows, it's going to redisplay the script on the right. So I could actually come in, double click and make edits in this view as well. Hello world. And that's acknowledging it in that specific cell in that row. Now this view, you can also adjust the font size to fit your personal preference. This view, just from working with a lot of customers, this view is very popular for people like PA announcers, MCs, anyone that needs to kind of reference usually a long form script. It's a great way to get a view, allow them to adjust their font size. That's not going to affect anybody else, and then also be able to continue to see the rest of the show on the left and jump ahead to different scripts and things like that. But maybe there's other use cases for your event or need, or maybe you have already used it on different stuff. Would love to hear what that is. Feel free to drop that in the chat. And then the other view we can jump to is our display view, which I know we're going to probably mention a little bit more about this next week. But this is just a way to display all of this content designed to be put in a large display. Obviously, hence the name, display view. Large screen, backstage, control room, presenter lounges, DSMs, those types of things. If you have a large rundown and you have 10 columns, the content, if you're outputting it on a big screen, you're not going to be able to see it maybe from a farther distance away. So this is just designed to be, helpful for people viewing it from a distance, as it also brings in things like our time of day clock, our item runtime, and then obviously syncing with our tracking as well. So cool. Let's jump back and we can go to one of our final features that I'll mention from a very high level perspective, which is show caller tracking. Definitely, a lot more towards next week. We're going to be, talking through some of the clocks and really exciting things like over under time, item runtime, all that. But this is only a feature that's available for crew in ShowFlow. So when a show caller presses track on a specific element, what that does is the crew, the user on the other end, whether it's on their phone, tablet, PC, Mac, whatever, they have the ability to essentially sync with me as a show caller. And as I advance through the show by pressing spacebar, it's going to auto scroll the other users, the event crew, through the rundown. So it's a way to kind of allow them to passively follow along, make sure they're all on the same page. If they're, in an element, it also syncs the item runtime clock in the top up here, which is going to, count down based on the duration of the element that you're currently in. So show caller tracking, very helpful for just keeping everybody on the same page, and something that you would definitely want to, if someone's going to benefit from that, then you would want them to be, a crew member and a user inside of this event. Cool. Well, that kind of wraps on the, on the rundown, or sorry, on the crew side, which we talked about. And now I'm going to kind of move into the second set, which is talking about an alternative way to share the content in ShowFlow called Guest Pass. Now, Guest Pass is really awesome feature. We've added some new stuff as well, where you can build both a event Guest Pass link, or you can also create a specific, Guest Pass link for an individual rundown. So I'm actually going to go back out to my event dashboard, and I'm going to just kind of demonstrate how to create an event Guest Pass for taking over multiple rundowns that are created in here. So I have a couple different rundowns, or a few different ones. To generate the event Guest Pass link, I simply hit share, and that's going to bring up event Guest Pass. I'm just going to click on that, and this will allow me to basically turn on or off access. So this is a URL that you can share publicly, based on the toggle being on or off. And I can also enable or disable certain specific rundowns inside of this event. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave on company meeting and the rundown example, and then just click copy. I can now share this URL with any amount of people. There's no limit actually to how many people you could send the Guest Pass link to. It's some great examples of that as I jump in, of people that you can share the Guest Pass with, or that maybe makes sense for your event. I oftentimes hear this is a great way to send, if you're not comfortable maybe getting somebody into ShowFlow as a user, as a crew member, great way to send to clients, ahead of the event, looking to get approval or hear back from changes. Other event vendors, catering, security, or maybe the event's just pretty far in advance and, the crew's not really ready to jump in and see real-time edits. You just kind of want to get a general agenda out. This is a great solution to just send that thing out rather than that mass email with, the version. And then every time you make a change, you got to send a new version to them, even leading up to the event. Just a great alternative to eliminate that version controlling cycle. But as you can see right here, this is a logo of the event that you would upload. You have the name of the event in the middle. You have the date range, and then you have one-click access to both of the rundowns that are on the account that I've made, accessible. So I'll just go ahead and click on the rundown example, and you can see it's a read-only view of the latest version of the rundown in the kind of the compact or grid view. Now, the biggest difference between, and thinking through as you're deciding, okay, do I want to send them as an event crew or as a guest pass, is guest pass is not real-time edit, or is not real-time updating. It does require a page refresh, or obviously the next time they click the link again, it's going to render the latest change. So if real-time edits are critical for that person, whether it's a rehearsal period or during a show, they need to be seeing the latest version in real time. Then you would definitely want to push them more towards being a crew member. But if, they just want to maybe generate their own print off, which they can do in the top right, you can just hit the download button and any person in guest pass can generate a PDF. Or they just want to be able to put it up on their phone, access it, anything like that. Great way to distribute. And you can actually drill into a specific rundown, and you can create a guest pass link for just one rundown if you want. And I'll just go ahead and jump into this one. I'm going to access it in the download export button, the top right, and then I'm going to select guest pass. This is going to bring up some advanced features like setting my column visibility. So from here, I have a unique URL for this rundown, and I can actually hide and reorder my columns based on the access that I want to give. Now, it's important to know that you can only create one guest pass link per rundown. So you can't create different looks of this. If you toggle something off, anybody else that has gotten that URL in the past is going to be, missing that data as well. So it's kind of a, pick one route and you got to go with it. But let's say I'll just keep everything open, click copy link. And as we can see, it's the same thing we were on before, but this is just a URL for a specific rundown. So again, guest pass, great option for looping in different types of people, clients, vendors, maybe freelancers, maybe the total, event team ahead of time. Would love to hear your thoughts on, maybe ways that you've sent out guest pass or what you plan on doing. Cool. So we're going to kind of move on to our last section, which is about exporting PDFs and, the different versions or different export options. So to generate an export to PDF, you're going to go right back to our download button, and you'll notice we have a few different options. So we have PDF export, which I'm going to dive into more in a sec. We have our Word export, that's going to be that's a place we've designed for things like if you're exporting scripts and presenter notes and things like that. So this is going to be mostly for people who are maybe using our prompter product with Rundown, or maybe you're a sports team that is building out your PA script or MC scripts and stuff like that within a Rundown. Word export, just export as a docx file in a traditional, Word long form format. XLS is another option, just a classic Excel file. Worth noting that is going to strip all formatting. So if you want to keep colors and things like that, images, definitely go back to the PDF export. So let's jump in on that. This is our PDF export wizard, where you can see got a bunch of options. Our column visibility section is what's going to allow you to hide and just hide the different columns depending on who you're maybe creating this rundown for or this export for. So you can just simply toggle off columns you don't want, and then hit generate PDF. Generates a PDF as you'd expect. We also have an advanced kind of a newer feature called PDF presets. So what this allows you to do is actually hide some columns, create a unique look, and then save that as a preset, which I actually already have one in here called video. So if I hit video, you're going to see we go to my pre-saved format where we have just video and production notes as a look. And then I can just generate a quick PDF right from here. You can create multiple presets, and these presets actually will follow if you ever use our duplicating event option. If you're doing like repeat type of shows, those presets will follow through or follow that rundown export to the next event. Or if you use our templating system, all of your saved PDF export presets in your sorry, I drew a blank, in your templates will follow through as well. So just a great option as far as, you know, creating and saving time. That way you don't have to like create different looks every single time you do make some changes and need to do a new PDF export. So cool. And then also, I guess another really cool thing in the PDF export worth mentioning is our custom page breaks. So if you do want to force page breaks in here, you can simply hit a line right above where you want the page break to fall, and that's going to put a line and indicate we've got a page break. You can then scroll through the rest of the show, force page breaks wherever you want. And then if you'd like to kind of preview it all, you go to our preview mode, and that'll actually kind of render the PDF to just kind of, you know, ensure that it's correct, and then generate a PDF right from there. So yeah, that kind of wraps a little bit of the PDF. Hopefully covering all of those just really puts a little bit more perspective of, as you're preparing or planning for your events, what are your different options and, you know, what makes sense for you. If you ever have any questions, you can always shoot us a message. If you have a scenario or thought process that, you know, maybe we can assist with. All right, so that wraps up my demo. Back to you, Brian.
Thanks, Johnny. Awesome demo, man. So that's it for our time today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Join us in 2 weeks on July 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern for session 3. It's showtime, setting up your environment. Really excited about this session. We're going to be doing some behind the scenes, how you use ShowFlow in different monitors so that your crew can always see where you're at in your show. Very excited for that one. So again, 2 weeks. Also, if you've not done a demo with one of our product specialists, definitely encourage you to check that out. That's a great opportunity to walk through your current live event workflow with one of our specialists. We'll get you set up for a trial, get you some good templates in the software so you can really lean into some of our best practices. Also talk through licensing options as well. So again, see you in 2 weeks. Thanks again for tuning in today, and we'll see you soon.